This video is brought to you by Grainger Warranty, your #1 online source for factory-backed extended warranties in the country.
It's road trip day, baby, because Kase and I are headed to Moab in what, dude?
This is our GMC Canyon AT4X. It's an off-road truck. It's not strictly a fuel economy truck, but this is a little bit of a behind-the-scenes video. We also want to find out what kind of fuel economy we get on our way to Moab. It's not going to be the most scientific test because it's going to be in one direction.
Yeah, that's right, but we've got a really quick trip that we need to make to Utah, and we're actually doing something pretty cool. So we're going to take the AT4X off-road up top of the world with our buddy Ryan from Driving Sports TV. He's bringing his Tacoma out. But I thought it'd be cool to kind of share our experience a little bit on not only fuel economy, but the comfort and some of the features and what we learn over the next 6 hours or so.
Exactly, and this is going to be a good truck to do the trip in because this being a more high-end premium model has a really nice interior. It's pretty comfortable. These seats, you could argue, are a little on the stiff side, but they're nice materials. We've got an Apple CarPlay set up and everything, so it should be a good road trip vehicle.
The one thing I don't really understand, okay, we're gonna wait 30 seconds now, about the GMC Canyon, right, is they do have a Denali version, which is their street-going luxury version. But these off-road trucks now, especially a nice one like this, have pretty much all the same features as like a Denali. So why not just get the off-road one and have some added capability? You know what I'm saying?
And especially for us here in Colorado, where we're around a lot of trails, and when we're filming, we've got to run trails because that's just another thing that we can make videos on. So as a company vehicle, the off-road trims make a lot of sense for us. So that's why we usually opt for the off-road trucks when we can.
Yeah.
So now we're topped up. We're going to reset our trip odometer as we get moving, and we'll see how we do.
Kase and I just reset our trip information, which is kind of a crazy process because it's displayed here in the cluster, but you have to go through the center screen to reset it, which seems a little silly. And now we're going to merge on Interstate 70, and let's test out this power. So Kase, this is a pretty big 4-cylinder.
Yeah, 2.7 liter, which is a sizable 4-cylinder, 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque. It's quite a bit of torque, and that's going to be good because our trip from here to Moab has some steep grades, some pretty high elevations that a lot of naturally aspirated vehicles would struggle with, something like a Pentastar V6 and maybe a Jeep Gladiator, or some older mid-size trucks that were naturally aspirated. It's nice to have this big turbo 4.
And it makes a lot of torque pretty low in the rev range, so you can rev it out. I think red line's about 5750, 5750, 6000 somewhere is where it'll upshift for you. But really, that 2 to 3500 is where a lot of that turbo torque is. Now, the one thing I will say is, I think that I like this engine more than the Tacoma engine. It feels a little bit more punchy than the Toyota. But compared to the Ranger Raptor, this is a lot slower.
That's true, and it's a little hard to compare any other mid-sized truck's powertrain to the Ranger Raptor because it's an outlier. That is an exceptional engine transmission combo, especially because ours had a Ford Performance tune that brought us up to well over 500 pound-feet of torque, 455 horsepower, so that truck was over the top.
You're absolutely right, yeah. And that's kind of the direct competitor to this. So from a powertrain standpoint, Ford kind of knocks it out of the park. Kase is right, compared to any of the mid-sized trucks. This thing, let me move my Fritos here, does do a couple things better than the Ford. I really like how they've incorporated some different materials and stitching and textures on the inside. I think that this is a nicer interior than the Ford. The only weird thing about this particular truck is the orange and then the inside red.
Yeah, it clashes a little bit. It's kind of a strange combination having the orange exterior color, all these red accents, which in general, I love the red accents, but stuff like that red seat belt and everything.
Seats, yeah.
Yeah, and on the seats. I love this interior, but it is a weird combo with this pumpkin orange. I call it pumpkin orange. I think it's called Desert Sun is the official name.
The truck's named Pumpkin though because of it, but I've never seen another one, and I doubt we likely will because this is a pretty bold color. The traffic cone orange.
And no matter which car or truck you have, if you plan on keeping it for a longer period of time, you should check out GraingerWarranty.com. Use the link in the description below. Grainger Warranty is one of the best sellers of factory-backed extended warranties across the country, and you could save some money while doing it, about $1,000 on average. And you don't have to buy it immediately when you buy a brand new vehicle. You could wait a little bit and then get that warranty. And when your truck needs service, you can be sure that they're using certified components, OEM quality stuff, and the work is done at the certified facility or a dealership anywhere across the country.
But on the road, this truck is actually very controllable, right? The ride's a little stiffer than I'd probably like. And actually the seats are a little stiffer than I'd probably like as well. GM, just for generations now, has had some of the worst truck seats in the industry. I hate to say it, but they refuse to give them any kind of shape or form factor. And I don't understand why. They will not do any kind of bolstering on their seats. So these are a little bit stiff, but the cabin's incredibly quiet in this Canyon. The radio is really good. The Bose does a pretty good job. The tech is really good. And even though this thing's, you know, it's got some dust on it from previous off-road adventures, I really like all of the physical buttons and controls. It just means less time not looking at the road.
Yeah, so it's going to be an easy truck to do our road trip in. Once again, it's comfortable enough. I agree. It is sprung and dampened a little bit stiffer than I would like, and the seats are on the stiff side. But aside from that, there's not much to complain about this interior.
And my favorite part about this truck from a drivability standpoint is actually it's got a really good seating position. So some of the other midsize trucks, you just kind of sit down low inside of them. This thing, you sit pretty tall up above and you got good visibility. So I think GMC and Chevrolet did a nice job with that. But we're going to cut the cams here. We're going to keep cruising down the road and we'll catch up with you later. All right, everybody, so we are back in Kase 240 some miles later.
That's right, and our trip computer is saying 21 MPG, which, you know, is reasonably good, especially for an off-road trim truck. I wouldn't expect anything too insane, but of course, that's what the trip computer is telling us. We want to check it out at the pump.
Yeah, and this thing's been a pretty good road tripper. We've got CarPlay going here. You know, we got all of our music queued up, which is great. Listen to some America, Kase.
Heck yeah, dude. We still got a ways to go before we get to Moab, so we're not quite at our destination yet, but while the sun is still up, we want to stop, fill up the truck, finish filming, and we'll go ahead and figure out what this number is. 240 miles is a pretty decent distance to be running this test on. Once again, this is in a single direction, so it's not the most scientific test. It's not a loop, but we'll still get a good idea of what kind of fuel economy this truck gets on the highway.
Now I want to show you guys the window sticker so you can see this truck. I think we paid $55 for it, but the window sticker is closer to $57. Here we go, so $57, $565. Now, surprisingly, if we get anywhere near that 21 figure, we're going to blow past the EPA number because this thing's supposed to get just 17 on the highway.
Yeah, so again, 20 MPG is not an incredible number in any vehicle, but it is better than what this truck is estimated to get. Although I gotta say, in my second gen Cummins on 35s, I get around 20 MPG.
Yeah.
On the highway, so.
But do you have a front locker?
No, I do not. I will admit.
But overall, folks, this has been a really comfortable truck, I have to say.
No, there's cones there.
Oh, man.
Out of service.
What are we gonna do?
Can't do our usual pump, man.
Dang it. So, I mean, I think this is a plenty adequate road tripper. One thing I wish it had was lane centering, which would be nice for 58 grand to keep you kind of centered in the middle of the lane.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of lane centering, so I'm kind of okay with not having it.
Not a lane centering guy, huh, dude?
No, so 242.3 is our mileage. That's what we'll do when we do our calculation.
Cool, sounds good. All right, we'll stick some mid-grade back in this thing and see where we're at. So with the kind of projected range on this tank, we would have probably gotten somewhere comfortably around 340, 350 miles on a tank. It's actually pretty good. And like I said, this is a bone stock truck running these Goodyear Wrangler Territories. And as Kase mentioned, this is not really a fuel economy tire.
No, not at all, but still a mid-sized truck, so you would expect it to do okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the one thing I will say about this generation, and I know there were problems with it from a price standpoint and is it useful, but the old gen with that little diesel, that was a really cool little option.
It was a cool option. The way that GM justified this powertrain and not bringing back the diesel is they say that this has more torque than the diesel. Fair enough. It is torquey for a mid-sized truck, but the fuel economy of a diesel is nice, and it sounds cool.
Just the sound. I mean, I think my biggest issue with this truck is like that engine just sounds like marbles in a blender. So it delivers
The little
good power.
Duramax, yeah.
No, this one.
Oh, this
the
one?
Duramax was cool. I think that had a cool growl. I think this one just sounds kind of coarse.
So you think this one sounds coarse and they should put a diesel in it instead, Tommy?
Dude.
Is your solution?
There's clatter and there's coarseness. They're two different things. I just like the character. Oh, there we go. All right, start at 30 seconds.
So far, 11.6 gallons. We'll see how big the top off is. So I've got that there for you,
Nice.
mileage. So when we get our final number, we can plug that in, find out what the real fuel economy is. I'm sure it's right around 21 that it's showing.
All right, so second top off there. So
11.7.
final number, 242 divided by 11.7, 20.7.
Okay, yeah, so a little under what the trip computer was saying, but not far off. And yeah, it's better than the EPA figure, but 20 MPG is not incredible.
It's not spectacular, but it's okay. I think that, you know, beating that EPA number by 3 is a great sign. Yeah, for an off-road truck, I think that's perfectly acceptable. It's not extraordinary, but it's okay. And as a comfort truck, we proved it's fine. Radio's good adaptive cruise control, with like lane centering and better seats. But apart from that, you're good to go.
Yeah, and very soon, because we're on our way to Moab, obviously there's going to be off-road video coming out of this trip. So you've got that to look forward to as well if you stay tuned to TFL Off-Road.
Yeah, guys, so that's going to be a really fun one. So big thank you to everyone who watched this quick video. Thanks to Kase for making this happen, and we'll see you in the next one.